Ezekiel saw the wheel. This is the wheel he said he saw. These are unidentified flying objects that people say they are seeing now. Are they proof that we are being visited by civilizations from other stars? Or just what are they? The United States Air Force began an investigation of this high strangeness in a search for the truth. What you are about to see is part of that 20-year search.
That's it. I saw them, and all I wanted to do was get to a phone. You believe me, don't you, Captain? You know, I've read about UFOs, I've heard about them, I've never seen one myself. It's too bad you didn't have film in that camera. Well, I thought I bought some of the BX before I checked out. Pete? Lieutenant Staley, Sergeant Pete Cochran. Lieutenant? Pete, I want to crank out a priority Twix to Right Pat, Project Blue Book. Yes, sir. Lieutenant, now let's get all of our ducks in a row. Now, you checked out of Stead yesterday evening?
I just finished survival school. I was reporting to Colby Air Force Base with a delay en route in Los Angeles. My wife lives there. She works in admissions at UCLA.
All right. Now, you want to fill this out, name, rank, serial, the usual?
I still can't get it out of my mind. That machine, whatever it was.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Make a move. Sergeant, you're not relaxed.
I'm not.
Now pay attention. You count 1, 2,
3. Over and out. Heaven will have to wait, Sergeant.
Story of my life, Major. Wendy, this is Major Gatlin. He's my,
I work for Harry, Wendy, and we have an emergency on our hands.
Oh, Harry, you were just getting on to it.
We're hitching a ride to Colby Air Force Base. Leaves right pat in 40 minutes.
You've got such natural ability. I've never danced with anyone like you.
Right, nice of you, ma'am. Thank you. How much do these lessons cost you, Harry? Well, I get a special rate because I passed the entrance exam. It's $150 for 8 lessons. You heard what she said. I got natural ability.
Oh, Mr. Keller, you have such natural ability. I've never danced with anyone like you.
Does Lieutenant Staley's 201 tell us anything?
Went to Stanford, ROTC program, communications major. Graduated with honors, called to active duty upon graduation.
Regular commission?
No, reserve. Goes off active duty in July. Jet qualified.
Daddy.
Oh, no. Thanks, honey. That's enough. I'll keep telling my patients to ease off on caffeine. I ought to follow my own advice. You know, when I was in the Air Corps, 9:30 hours meant just that.
Well, I hope they get here. I'd like to get this thing cleared up.
Project Blue Book. Any bets?
Hello. I'm Major Gatlin. This is Sergeant Fitz, Foreign Technology Division, Project Blue Book. We have an appointment with Lieutenant Paul Staley.
I'm Mrs. Cynthia Staley. Won't you come in?
Morning, Major.
Good morning.
Sergeant.
Lieutenant?
Gentlemen, I'd like you to meet my father-in-law, Dr. O'Neill. How are you, sir?
Major Gatlin?
How are you, sir?
Sergeant Fitz. So this is going to be a real debriefing, huh?
Lieutenant Staley's experience yesterday seemed to warrant it, sir.
I was a flight surgeon, 5th Air Force, Korea, 1951.
That's so.
Where the debrief became sophisticated, Sergeant.
Goodbye, Daddy. Good to see you. Don't get started on the Wild Blue Yonder now. Bye, honey.
I'll see you out.
Why don't you call me at UCLA when you're finished?
Gentlemen, have a seat. I trust there are no objections while I sit with my son-in-law while you explore this situation.
Well, actually, sir, there are some advantages to privacy in these matters.
I anticipated you might say that, Major, so I phoned my old friend Lieutenant General Thompson in San Francisco. And Tommy has suggested, informally, of course, that I be present, professionally. As a colonel in the reserve, you see, I've kept up with the literature of flight medicine, the psychological aspects of UFO reports, been a consultant. If you want to verify this communication.
Well, I don't think we need any verification on it, sir, and I certainly have no objections as long as the lieutenant doesn't.
I didn't realize you'd contacted General Thompson about this, Colonel.
I didn't want to bother you, Paul.
Lieutenant, shall we get started?
Right away.
Lieutenant Staley, who have you talked to about this episode outside of Captain Selvage at the weather station?
Only my wife. I drove straight through as soon as I'd reported to Captain Selvage. Cynthia was asleep, but she got up, made me something to eat, and, well, we talked for hours about that, about the survival school, but yes, I told her everything.
You haven't talked to anyone else?
No, sir. The communication from ATIC was very explicit. No one else, not even Colonel O'Neill.
Curious as I am, of course. When Paul phoned me to say he'd arrived home, he did say he had had an encounter, but that was all. You can appreciate my interest, personally and professionally.
Let's turn the recorder on.
Yes, sir. Recording, sir.
An interview with First Lieutenant Paul Staley, serial 570-148385. 09:45 hours, May 20, Los Angeles, California. Regarding sighting of possible UFOs the morning of May 19. Reference ATIC 5993. Present are Lieutenant Paul Staley, Dr. O'Neill, Colonel, Air Force Reserve, Sergeant Harry Fitz, Major J. Gatlin.
Before we start, Major, what is the disposition of these tapes as far as Project Blue Book is concerned?
Those tapes are for Air Force files only, Colonel.
Very good.
Lieutenant, the Gold Bar teletype stated you checked out of Stead immediately after your group had completed its survival course. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I was in a hurry to check out and get home. I don't know what the others did. I figured there's no point in sticking around. I had a car. I figured I could stop by the side of the road any time if I got tired, so I packed my bags.
Stick around. We're working up to a party here.
Looks like you started already. 48 days with you people in the middle of nowhere is ample. I got my traveling orders as of now, and this kid is traveling. And my flight bag?
Lieutenant Staley, Major Burnham strongly recommends that all the men who graduated with him drink to their outstanding record of less than 8% washouts.
Sir, Lieutenant Staley kindly thanks the Major for his recommendation.
Salute. Salute.
See y'all somewhere, you guys. If I can survive this course in this bunch, I can survive anything.
Nice guy. And a bright guy. Why would he want to be a civilian?
Driving at night in the desert, so I kept on going. But it finally caught up with me, I guess. Road hypnosis or just being tired.
And with that, we bring a close to our evening's broadcast. KKAC, signing off at 3 a.m. Mountain Standard Time.
So I got smart, pulled off the side of the highway just for a while. Up about 06:25, I checked my watch. I was stiff, of course, but I'd had a good sleep considering. I just wanted to get somewhere to wash, have breakfast. I was doing 55 or 60, I guess.
Any other cars on the road?
Last couple hours that night, didn't see one car. Next morning, definitely not. I remember I was going around this big curve when all of a sudden the engine quit. The radio went off, too. The whole electrical system went dead. I knew I wasn't out of gas. I coasted to a stop, and I was trying to get it started again. I was just getting out to look under the hood when I saw them. It's funny, the first thing I thought of, I said, "Paul, you idiot, you're dreaming. You're not awake yet." and the engine kicked right over. It was weird. I don't understand it. Well, you gentlemen know the rest. There's nothing more I can tell you.
We'd like you to try and draw or sketch the machines you saw, if you would, sir.
Gentlemen, I'm due in surgery in an hour. Major, I appreciate your allowing me to sit in. I assure you I'll keep it completely confidential. Paul, would you walk me to my car? All right, Major?
Certainly, sir.
Sergeant?
Sir, there's coffee in the kitchen. Help yourselves.
Thank you very much.
Real nice apartment.
Sure is. How do you want yours?
Black, thanks. Interesting. Mage, take a look at this.
Paul, I hate to talk to you like a father-in-law.
Forget it. We both appreciate everything you've done.
I know you're considering leaving the Air Force, just as I strongly recommend that you do not. Let's face it, this town is full of unemployed communications majors who graduated with honors. But listen, this is a real opportunity. I suspect your report will be buried just as these UFO investigations usually are. And I'm not ready to present my opinion on your experience, at least not yet. But you're going to be the center of Air Force attention over the next few weeks. First Lieutenant Paul Staley will be a name everybody will know. Capitalize on it. Cooperate.
Colonel, what happened to me really happened. And I'm going to tell it like it is.
Play your cards right. Use this. You'd be surprised, Paul, how far it may take you. Who knows, maybe you'll find the Air Force is a full-time career for you after all.
I've got a good chance at a job in Denver.
Have you accepted yet?
No, sir.
Don't.
I have to let them know pretty soon.
Maybe you owe Cynthia a little more security than a civilian job could give her. Did you ever think about that, Paul?
I know what you mean. Neither of us want Cynthia to be working, and she won't have to. But look, first, I'm reporting what I saw, no more and no less. And second, a great many people have seen UFOs, and what good has it done them?
Why do you suppose they'd fly a major out here? Why clamp this lid of secrecy on you? Paul, I've been following UFOs since it was called the Air Corps, and pilots call those funny things out in space Foo Fighters. But you're something special, a qualified Air Force pilot who claims to have established contact with UFOs on the ground. Do you realize that? You're unique, Lieutenant.
Transmitting all the sketches Lieutenant Staley drew for us right now. And the interview tape's being transcribed, and it'll be at Wright-Patterson in the morning. All right, sir, we'll carry through on our end, but why? Oh, I see. No, I haven't, but I'll be talking to his wife later today. All right, sir. Goodbye, sir. That was right, Pat. Base commander out of Colby's convening a hearing board next week.
Why?
Lieutenant Paul Staley requested it.
These sketches Staley made, anything strike you wrong about them? Nothing that's wrong, like a zillion others we've seen. How come the top view? You lost me, Major. Lieutenant Staley was specific. He walked up close to within 50 yards, he said. Then they flew directly over his head. Staley didn't give us any view of the undersides of the machines. No, sir, he didn't. How did he know what they looked like from the top?
Staley, please. Graduate admissions. Yes, I'll wait. Yes.
Lieutenant Paul Staley, please.
I'm Lieutenant Staley.
Personal and urgent, sir. You sign here, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good.
Oh, yes, sir. May I help you?
Mrs. Staley busy?
Well, her door was closed when I came in from duplicating. Let me buzz. There's a gentleman here to see you. May I ask your name, please?
Mr. Staley.
Mr. Staley. Yes, ma'am. You can go right on in, sir.
Thank you. Hi. I know I'm a bit early. I thought maybe I didn't know you wanted to talk to Mrs. Staley, sir.
We're even, Lieutenant. We didn't know you asked for a hearing board.
I thought you did know.
How? When you didn't request it till today? After Sergeant Fitz and I left?
Well, I'm sure you know why I wanted the board. You gentlemen have investigated a number of UFO sightings.
We have.
I'm sure you know how the majority of people feel when they read about these things. They think anyone who reports seeing a flying saucer is some kind of nut.
First off, Lieutenant, we're not the majority. And we do not believe that all individuals who have sightings are oddballs.
I don't want Cynthia to have to answer the usual questions. Does your husband hallucinate? Does he take drugs? Does he lie? You probably want to know if our sex life is satisfactory, too.
Lieutenant, you related an extraordinary experience to Captain Selvage over at Gold Bar. Now, we may never be able to prove that you saw what you did, but we sure cannot prove you didn't. You were there. We weren't. Now, we're going to dig into it and make sure that no one's trying to make a fool out of you.
Maybe it's gone beyond that already. Maybe I already am.
We're early. We'll have to wait at the bar for our table.
I could use something tall and cool.
We'll be there in time.
That hearing board you talked about in my office this afternoon?
Mm-hmm.
What's that all about?
I want the Air Force to understand that I really saw those machines.
And the hearing board makes it official?
Only that I'll be on the record more officially than I am now.
This thing has really gotten to you, hasn't it?
You didn't see what I saw, Cynthia. I doubt if anyone will ever really believe me, but I'm sure as hell going to try.
Well, what if they don't?
You don't believe me, do you?
Is it important to you that I believe you?
It's always the way with us, isn't it, Cynthia? Your father says it's fine with you. But if I have a problem, as long as the two of you work it out to your satisfaction, everything is okay.
Why do we always have to go through this, Paul? Why? I mean, it's no secret that you've always resented Daddy.
That's not true. I have a great deal of respect for him. I just wish he would let us lead our own lives.
I think he does.
I don't.
Okay, what's next? You pack up and move to a hotel again like you did 3 months ago?
No, not this time, Cynthia.
Look, let's not talk about it anymore, okay? Let's just be grateful that we've got some extra time to spend together tonight, okay?
I saw those things. Nothing will ever change that. That's very close, yeah. The way the road curves over there and the hills they flew over. I think it may be a few yards further down there, Major.
All right. Did you mark anything or leave a pile of rocks or anything to mark the sighting?
Major, I've never been instructed on what to do in case I ran into a UFO squadron. And I didn't take any pictures either. I already told you that. I couldn't. There. They were sitting right there. And the indentation from the landing gear should be right in this area. There were 3 to each, equilateral triangles, total of 12.
There's the highway. Here's where you originally marked the landing site. You couldn't be off more than a couple hundred yards, right?
More or less.
All right, we'll correct that in red. Lieutenant, it took off from over here, then what?
Well, they hovered above the ground a few feet. I was right over there. And then they lifted off to about 25 feet and went in formation right over those hills.
Right into the sun, which would be 0630 or 0700.
That's correct.
What was the undercarriage configuration, sir, since it flew over you?
Well, the glare was so bright I couldn't make out any detail.
Well, how did you know what the upper surface looked like, the top section?
I'm not too good at making sketches. I didn't know. I tried to give you a general impression, size and shape.
Sir, I didn't see any traces of landing gear marks.
They were there. I saw them when the machines were hovering and again when they lifted off.
This is sandy country. It's possible when they took off, their propulsion systems might have covered the landing tracks over.
No, Sergeant, they were there. I know those things kicked up a lot of sand, but I saw the marks after they took off.
Wind, maybe.
Sir?
Well, it is sand. Desert winds aren't uncommon. Maybe the marks were drifted over, filled in.
Well, that must be it. Got to be. It's the only possible explanation, isn't it? Yeah, I know. No physical evidence. No fuel residue, no piece of hardware, nothing. How am I ever going to prove this?
What more can I tell you? He completed the course in excellent physical condition, mentally alert. He's one of the best young officers I've ever trained. His 201 proves that, doesn't it, Major? Particularly the way I graded him. Top 10%.
Yes, sir, we noticed that.
Would you consider him capable of falsifying an official report?
Oh, not on your life. No way.
Was he a practical joker?
Not for 7 weeks. Not taking this course. Have you been through yet, Major?
I come up in November. What I was getting at is, could you accept the proposition that this sighting of his might be a hoax?
Well, I don't happen to believe in UFOs myself. But if Paul Staley said he saw some, I believe him.
Just one more question, sir. And this one's personal. Is this survival course really as tough as we hear, sir?
Even in the latrines, Sergeant.
Psychological tests. Complete exposure of your background file, which, as you know, is strictly your business in the military complex.
Yes, sir, I've considered all that.
All right. Here's the list of the people on your hearing board. Any objections?
There's possibly one name.
Dr. O'Neill.
Yes, sir, he's my father-in-law.
We know that.
Well, do you consider that proper?
You tell us.
Well, if his presence will in any way affect the outcome of the hearing, no, sir, I don't consider it proper.
Well, we've never made use of Dr. O'Neill's expertise here on this base, but his name came up in normal rotation, and he comes to us highly recommended. But I repeat, if you have any objections, we'll replace him.
No, sir. If you have none, then I have none.
Any other names on the list?
No, sir, I don't know anybody else.
Fine. The hearing will be convened at 1400 hours on the 27th.
Yes, sir.
You talk to him and I'll handle everything else. I don't like to promise anything, but I suspect that Paul can make captain very soon. Maybe even be stationed somewhere around here. You'd like that, wouldn't you, honey?
Of course I would. But do you think Paul would?
Well, if he wouldn't, he's simply not using his head. Although there have been moments recently when I've had my doubts.
This UFO business, seeing these things or thinking he saw them, has become an obsession with him. I'm really concerned, Daddy.
Cynthia, your mother never knew how to appreciate the good things that we finally acquired. But you do. I want so much for you. You're entitled. You deserve the best. And that very definitely includes a sensible husband with the means to give you lifetime security. Paul could accomplish all that with a well-planned military career.
I love you, Daddy. You're so good to me.
I love you, honey. And I'm thankful you're not trying to talk him out of the service.
No. I think he's doing a pretty good job of that himself.
You let me handle it.
Handle what, me again?
I thought we had that out the other night.
Adequately enough, I guess.
What's new, Paul?
I thought you might tell me.
I don't know that I understand that.
The hearing board.
Oh, that.
Yes, that.
Well, I meant to tell you when the notification came and just slipped my mind.
Well, I didn't mean to push it. I'm sure you both know how important the hearing is to me.
To all of us, Paul.
I wouldn't want to trace it anything that smacked of dishonesty.
Paul, you know Daddy better than that.
I'm sorry. Well, anyway, I have some good news. I talked to Denver today, and I have that job at KKAC as a news reporter if I can be there by August the 1st, and I can.
It's just about the time when you have to extend your tour of active duty, isn't it?
It was, but I already told them thanks, but no thanks. I've done my 7 years. I want to be a civilian.
You're making a mistake.
Well, I don't think so. If Cynthia will have me, I'd like to spend more of my life with her.
Well, I can't say I blame you for that.
Well, I'm glad we're all agreed then.
Why not? It's your life.
I know we've almost concluded this rather lengthy hearing, but I also know we've been here for 4 hours, and I wonder if a short break might not be in order.
Colonel, I believe my evaluation is all that remains, and I assure you it'll be brief. In fairness to Lieutenant Staley, who has certainly been subjected to a great deal of personal strain, I feel we should continue. Just for a few minutes.
Very well, Dr. O'Neill.
The psychological profile developed by Major Evelyn Lake unquestionably presents the lieutenant as an intelligent, reasonable officer. His record is exemplary. He's just completed one of the Air Force's most difficult courses with its known physical and mental demands. I refer to the survival course. In many ways, then, Lieutenant Staley is not the typical individual who is reported sighting UFOs. Just as his encounter on the ground at close range is far from typical. In fact, it is most certainly unique in the many thousands of cases that have been investigated. Let's begin with that survival school course and his completing it on 18 May last. He had to be plagued with complete physical and mental exhaustion, as everyone who completes the course is. Nevertheless, Lieutenant Staley decided to drive straight through, almost 600 miles. Strange decision, at best, in view of his fatigued condition. Perhaps that is precisely what caused his temporary loss of memory. Example, in his interview with Major Gatman, Lieutenant Staley declared he'd had no drinks, no intoxicants, no alcohol. Although Major Burnham reported from the base, you'll find this on teletype of 22 May last, that everybody was having a couple of drinks. And Burnham actually gave at least one to Lieutenant Staley personally. If the lieutenant forgot one drink, perhaps he forgot two. Or even three. So, completely exhausted, Lieutenant Staley does not drive a couple of hours and sleep in a motel. No, he continues driving until he suddenly finds himself running off the highway. A confused mental state, to say the least. Then the pulling out onto the road at dawn, the complete, fantastic loss of power of his automobile. As he put it, obviously caused by some strange electromagnetic force in the vicinity. And then, there they are. The flying saucers. This officer, trained for 3 years to recognize dials, gauges, structural configurations with better than 20/20 vision. And all he can recall are a group of strange machines, 4 of them octagonal in configuration. Oh, he did recall in some detail what the top of those space machines looked like. It's his drawing number 7 in AF-112, although he admits he never saw the top. I think it interesting that his descriptions are identical to the cliché descriptions in all of the patterned flying saucer reports. Lieutenant Staley's account is clearly fraught with inconsistencies. That he bought film, but forgot it. trained observer, he made no effort to definitely record his location. Lieutenant Staley will be eligible for discharge on 14 July this year. His academic training and education, generously supplied by the United States Air Force, complete with a degree in modern communications, were all directed towards a television career and on-camera performing. He has stated that on completion of his reserve tour in the Air Force, he will associate himself with a television station or network. And if he has kept his thumb on TV's pulse, and a clever, ambitious man certainly would, he knows the great public interest in flying saucers and UFOs. The lieutenant's library boasts in excess of a dozen books about flying saucers, almost all of them describing translucent domes, bright metal skins emitting lights, all without specifics. I submit to this hearing board that Lieutenant Paul Staley's own credibility is far less than most of these quick-buck, supercilious authors of the bilge he has cluttered his mind with. The lieutenant is a totally unreliable witness. His so-called sighting is high fiction. And why? Because of the lucrative opportunities and the sensational interest in his appearing as a TV commentator, as an eyewitness who has seen UFOs up close. He is aware that there is no better way to enter his chosen civilian profession than with a dramatic announcement that he is the only unimpeachable person, a qualified observer, an ex-Air Force pilot to have seen and actually made contact with flying saucers. There may be other motives as well for this fanciful report. I am fully aware of the obvious, crass commercial motives. I'm sure you are too.
Where you been, sir? Made a couple of phone calls, and I made a couple more. Didn't take them long to reach a determination. What other conclusion could they possibly have reached? Little going away present from your father?
I'm sorry.
Are you really?
Paul, how am I supposed to take that?
How do you want to take that?
What's all this business about Daddy? He couldn't have had anything to do with the outcome.
Well, you ask him to tell you about it some rainy night. He's very good at war stories. I've had about enough of them, but you were raised on them.
Paul, I wish you'd stop talking in circles.
Well, we've been heading in this direction for quite some time, haven't we, Cynthia? Now's as good a time as any. From here on in, who's it going to be, me or your father?
This is neither the time nor the place to discuss this.
This is the precise time and the precise place to discuss it.
You're serious, aren't you? All right. If you were faced with a choice, how would you make it?
I was in that hearing room today, and I made it.
Well, I can't. And I don't see any reason why I should have to. We just have to talk about this.
It all got said in there. Goodbye, Cynthia. Give you the Academy Award for your performance in there.
Take it easy, Major Gatlin.
Like you did with Staley? You've got about as much objectivity as a shark with an empty stomach.
Easy, Major.
I've been involved in this project for a number of years, and I've never witnessed a more thorough job of character assassination. Now, maybe you don't think it's important to people who have these sightings, but we do. Some of them tell us they've seen what they believe are unidentified flying objects. That's what put us in business. To try to identify. You know the ground rules of Blue Book as well as I do. Now, I don't know what your reasons were for that travesty in there, but I do know that you've slapped a label on one young man. He's going to wear the rest of his life.
6 Air Force officers of high rank made this determination, Major, and it stands. We believe Lieutenant Staley tried to perpetuate a hoax, a pure hoax. And you're right, I know my Blue Book history. Enough to know you've dealt with a good number of these.
Only when they were thoroughly proven to be such, and this one is not. I'll tell you, O'Neill, we're going to dig into this and we'll pull up an answer, too, as to what motivated you today. And in the meantime, the Air Force won't be needing your services anymore in this field.
You're making command decisions now, are you?
No, sir. Headquarters Air Force.
Very well, Major, but I called it as I saw it. Now, what would you have done if you were me?
Can I wait a while before I'm you?
Well, sir, how do we put it down?
What it really is. A true unknown.